Welcome back to Passport Romance Stories, where we uncover the real risks hiding behind travel, nightlife, and the people you think you can trust. Tonight's story starts with a decision that felt harmless. One payment, one girl asking for help, one man trying to do the right thing. But minutes later, police were waiting outside, and by sunrise, he realised the entire night had been planned from the beginning. This isn't just a story about a bar fine, it's about how quickly kindness can become leverage, and how some traps don't begin with violence, they begin with sympathy. The music was loud, enough to shake the walls. Neon lights flickered across rows of tired faces, pretending to have a good time. Tourists laughed too hard. Drinks kept arriving. Nobody stayed sober long enough to ask questions. Jason Miller, 38, from Doncaster, had only been in Thailand for 3 days. Divorced, burned out, exhausted from life back home. He told himself this trip was supposed to reset his head. No drama, no commitments, just freedom. That's when he noticed her. She wasn't the loudest girl in the bar, didn't chase customers, didn't force conversation. She just sat beside him quietly, smiling occasionally while staring into her drink. That was enough. They started talking. Her English wasn't perfect, but it didn't matter. She laughed at his jokes, asked about England, and told him she hated working there. Then she leaned closer. "I want to go with you, but cannot." Jason frowned. She nodded toward the bar counter. "Need bar fine." He'd heard the term before, online. A fee paid to the venue so a worker could leave early with a customer. Some people said it was normal, others said avoid it completely. Jason hesitated, not because of the money, because something deep in his stomach felt wrong. But then she looked embarrassed, like she hated asking. That's what got him. Not pressure, not seduction, guilt. So he paid. The cashier barely looked up. Money exchanged hands. Receipt printed instantly, too instantly, and the moment the payment cleared, everything changed. The staff stopped smiling. The security guard near the exit suddenly paid attention to them, and the girl who had seemed relaxed all night went strangely quiet. Outside, the street felt colder, louder, more hostile. Jason tried making conversation, but she kept checking her phone. Then he saw headlights. A police truck rolled slowly towards them. No sirens, just deliberate movement. It stopped directly beside them. 2 officers stepped out. One walked straight toward Jason. "You, come with us." Jason laughed nervously. "What? Why?" The officer pointed toward the girl, then toward the receipt, still sticking out of Jason's pocket. "You pay for woman." His stomach dropped. The girl lowered her eyes, didn't defend him, didn't say a word. That's when panic started creeping in. The officers accused him of soliciting prostitution, then trafficking, then exploitation. The accusations escalated fast, almost like a script they'd rehearsed before. Jason tried explaining. "I thought it was legal. They told me it was normal." The officer stared blankly. "You pay woman to leave bar? Illegal." "But the bar took the money." No response, just cold silence. Then came the real pressure. "Come station." That sentence changed everything, because suddenly this wasn't a misunderstanding anymore. It was survival. Before Jason could react, another man appeared beside him. Not police, well-dressed, calm, friendly. "You need help?" he whispered quietly. "The fixer. Every scam has one. The person who arrives pretending to save you while secretly feeding the machine." The fixer spoke better English than the others. He explained everything carefully, very carefully. "These police believe you have trafficked woman. Very serious. Prison possible." Jason's face went pale. "What? I didn't traffic anybody." The fixer nodded sympathetically. I know, but law complicated here. Then came the hook. Maybe problem can disappear tonight. There it was. No justice, no law, a transaction. Jason looked toward the girl again. She still wouldn't look at him, like she'd already done this before. The fixer lowered his voice. If you go station, very bad. Embassy later, court later, news maybe. Jason's chest tightened. He imagined headlines, family seeing it, his employer seeing it, his ex-wife seeing it. The fixer watched fear take over in real time. Then came the number, equivalent of nearly £8,000. Jason almost laughed. I don't have that. The fixer shrugged. Then station. One officer casually opened the truck door. Jason noticed something terrifying then. Nobody around them seemed surprised. The bar staff were watching from inside. The girl remained calm. The officers weren't angry because this wasn't chaos. It was procedure. A system built around panic. Jason tried refusing. Then, when the tone changed, one officer grabbed his arm. Not violently, just enough to show control. The fixer leaned closer again. Listen, they can freeze passport, immigration problem, maybe jail while investigation. Investigation? That word destroyed him, because innocent people think innocence protects them. But fear changes the math, especially in a foreign country, especially at 2 a.m, especially when you don't know the law. Jason finally opened his banking app. The fixer watched carefully, too carefully, as if this part mattered most. Transfers started. First one failed due to limits, then another, then another. The officers stayed patient the entire time, like men waiting for a restaurant bill to clear. By 5 a.m, Jason's savings were almost gone, but they kept pushing, because once someone pays once, they usually keep paying. And that's the real trap. Not force, momentum. The need to make the nightmare stop. Eventually, Jason transferred the final amount he could access. Silence. The fixer checked his phone, nodded towards the officers, and suddenly everything ended. No paperwork, no arrest, no police station. The officers climbed back into the truck. The fixer disappeared into the darkness, and the girl, she walked away without saying goodbye. Jason stood alone on the sidewalk, wallet empty, mind racing, watching sunrise hit streets that now felt completely different. That's when the truth finally hit him. The girl wasn't rescued, she was bait. The payment wasn't freedom, it was evidence, and the police weren't there to stop the scam, they were part of it. What makes stories like this terrifying is how believable they are in the moment. Nobody thinks they're walking into a setup. Most people think they're helping someone, being generous, being human. But organised scams don't rely on force first. They rely on emotion. Fear comes later. We'd like to thank the viewer who shared this experience, because stories like this don't just expose scams. They expose how quickly control can disappear once panic takes over. If you have a story you'd like to share, you can send it in completely anonymously, and if this video made you think twice about trust, nightlife, or how easily travellers can become targets abroad, make sure you subscribe to Passport Romance Stories, because the next story might happen faster than you think.